Paws Up podcast, episode 117. And this one is truly live. This is not a fake live stream. We are here. I am your host, Kevin Barral, alongside my friend and co-host, Jay Gibson. Jake, how are we doing? We have a very special guest, and we have a lot to talk about.
Absolutely. A big thank you, first of all, to X/Twitter for somehow messing up the StreamYard streams. That's why you saw that 2-minute timer to begin. But yes, Kevin, listen, we're deep in the offseason, I know, but we are yearning for college football. Every little morsel of info, every bit of news we can get, we have to make the most of, and that's why we have an awesome guest with us today, now entering his second year as the head coach of FIU Football. It is none other than Willie Simmons. Coach, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, guys. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too. How's the offseason been treating you? I feel like as a head coach, it's a 365 job, but I'm sure you've had maybe some time to reflect on the year and all that.
Yeah, that word off season is kind of an oxymoron for a head football coach. We never get an off season. We just got different types of seasons. So we finished our first football season, but then went right into the recruiting season, and now we're in the off season training mode of OTAs and what we call our fourth quarter drills. Some people call them mat drills. And then we'll start spring ball here in about a week and a half.
All right, Coach. Now, having spent a year here living in Miami, your thoughts on the city, the university, and just how the fans here have welcomed you to the 305. What have been your thoughts on year one?
Well, the university is amazing. I can't say enough about FIU and how beautiful the campus is, just a vibrant student life. As you walk throughout campus, I'm a huge fan of the Thursday farmers market. I go get fruit and ice cream and just get to see the student population. I can't say enough about our president Jeanette Nunez and her amazing support of not only football but just FIU athletics in general. So just being under great leadership has been a great blessing for me and this team. And then the city of Miami, I tell you, man, when I first got here, I can go in any restaurant, go eat, go have a good time. Nobody would recognize me. I was kind of hidden. And then about midway through the season, people started recognizing me. So that let me know that we were doing some things right. But just enjoying everything about the city, the weather, even during the cold front. We got a little chilly down here in Miami. You look across the nation and people are snowed in and complaining about how cold it is, and we're outside the shorts and open-toed shoes. So can't beat the weather, can't beat the food, can't beat the culture. Miami is a special place, and it's been a great first year, and we're looking forward to year two.
You alluded to it a little bit there with President Nunez, who kind of comes in midway through your first year at FIU. Just talk about her support so far on the athletic side of things and how big she's been for you guys in year one.
Yeah, again, I can't say enough. She's my the third institution that I've been the head coach of, my fourth president, but never been around a president who's so vocal about her support for football and athletics, and then challenging her constituents to do the same. During her inauguration speech, I know they don't call it an inauguration for the president. I still refer to it as inauguration, but in her introductory speech, she talked about buying season tickets. She challenged everyone in attendance, and you had prominent people from all over the state and all walks of politics, and she challenged them to support the football program and the athletics program. So just to have, her be visible around our team, she and her family, she was actually disappointed that she couldn't make the bowl because she had planned a family vacation, even prior to becoming president. But just to be able to go out and talk to the team before she left, catch a pass, even celebrate with the guys. Again, it just shows how amazingly supportive she is of this program, and she wants to win. I tell you what, she wants to win, and she's willing to do what it takes from her seat to give us the best opportunities to be successful. And so, again, thankful for her leadership, thankful for her team, her cabinet, because, again, whatever we've asked, they've done for us, and that's not the case everywhere.
We have yet to talk to her personally, but how locked in is she with the team? Like, do you think she could name half the players on the roster? Could she call plays? Like how much ball does she actually know?
Well, I wouldn't put her on the spot like that. I don't think that she'd be trying to call plays. And again, not sure how many players she knows by name. It's hard these days, especially with the
It is pretty hard.
we got 40 new faces here that, I don't know if every coach knows every player's name at this point. But no, I mean, she's very visible. She's been around. Obviously, when we had our spring game draft, she announced the first pick. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those things are kind of last minute requests. And again, she makes herself accessible to us. If we need her to speak to the team, if we need her to be visible, she is that. Anytime I text, she responds right back. So again, just to have someone in that position who has so much on her plate, leading one of the most prominent institutions in America, to find time to congratulate her head coach after a big win, to fly to every game, to come to bowl games, to come and pick a name for a mock draft, just to be that accessible is again a testament to her and what she stands for. She doesn't just talk the talk; she walks the walk. And again, I've done this for a long time, and that's not the case everywhere.
No, definitely. By the way, before we continue, congratulations, Coach. You're joining exclusive territory here at the Paws Up podcast, being one of single-digit amount of people who have been a guest on the show more than once. With your last episode being episode 81 back on January 24th of last year. It's an honor. I mean, Jenkins, who am I thinking of? Billy Gill, Scott Carr, and aside from that, not a whole lot of other names. I know
Corey Brooks.
Corey Brooks, your partner in crime in baseball, Rich Whitten, a fellow head coach here at FIU Athletics. But anyway, talk about the opportunity to have taken part at that coaches show at Twin Peaks Doral during the season, how it sort of helped you get to know the FIU fan base and vice versa, how it's helped you express what kind of a coach and even person you are to the FIU faithful.
Yeah, no doubt. Thankful to Twin Peaks for their partnership. Obviously being able to host a weekly show and just recap the previous game and talk about the upcoming game and just to be able to answer questions from the audience. You see some familiar faces. Papa Panthers going to be there, all the time. Mm-hmm. But again, just the ability to go out and network in the local community. Doral is a rock's throw from FIU's campus, so to be able to go out to Twin Peaks, every week to do that again was a great feeling for me last year and something that I look forward to doing moving forward.
Well, what did you have an order at Twin Peaks? What was the go-to order there?
Well, they would bring out like weekly samples. So we did the fried pickles, the chicken tenders, the nachos. They have great appetizers. And so again, just being able to go out and eat some good food and I try to get a salad because usually I'll leave Twin Peaks and go back to the office and maybe get a workout in or something. So I try not to get too full because there's still work to be done getting ready for a game. But no, Katie and Coach Hick and our operations team, they come and they eat really good. So yeah, probably have to ask them what their go-to is because they run the tab up every time we go.
Oh, I can imagine. By the way, shout out Papa Panther. We'll hear from him later on in this show. Hint, hint, wink, wink. So now that you have a full season under your belt as the head coach of an FBS school, did your list of responsibilities and concerns match what you believed it would be when you originally took up the position? And just how different was it actually from your time as the head coach in FCS?
Well, I was blessed to leave Florida A&M after 10 years of being a head coach at the FCS level, and then working under Manny Diaz for a year at Duke. And Manny's a phenomenal person. One, because he's very accessible, and so I was able to kind of get a front row seat to what he was able to do as a head coach. So I saw a lot of the things that he tried to implement, even dealing with donors and supporters. So just really preparing myself for when that opportunity came, obviously not knowing it was going to come, in less than a year. So when I got here to FIU, just really being able to lean on him, guys like Rick Stockstill, who's probably my biggest mentor in the coaching profession, Dabo Sweeney, guys that I've been around, to be able to call and talk to them about being a head coach at this level, really just navigating NIL and the transfer portal. Those are probably the two biggest adjustments from things that I didn't have to deal with at Florida A&M and in Prairie View A&M. So just having to manage the NIL budget, hiring a general manager for the first time. That was something that was new. and just really navigating that space was probably the biggest adjustment. Everything else, once you're a head coach, you deal with typical things: fundraising, administrative issues, roster building, hiring staff, those type of things. But again, a general manager was a new position that's relatively new to college athletics, college football.
Right.
And so having to really figure out what that looked like, what type of person to hire, what their responsibilities would be. That's what I lean heavily on my mentors for. And they were great. I can't say enough about Coach Stock and Dabo and Manny Diaz, Mike Loxley, guys like that, even James Franklin. There were individuals that I was able to lean on when I got this opportunity. So I'm very thankful to them.
So let's go back to this first year, 2025, 7-6 during the full season, 7-5 regular season, 4-0 in November. I mean, making the bowl game for the first time since 2019. Coach, just looking back, going back to week 1 against Bethune-Cookman, maybe while you're sitting there in that long rain delay, what were your expectations going into the season? What were you expecting out of this team that maybe from the outside looking in had a lot of questions? You just given the high amount of turnover from a coaching standpoint, a coaching staff standpoint, and then even a team building standpoint?
Yeah, obviously, whenever you take over a program, and this is the third one that I've taken over, I always give the same mandate, and it's that we'll win when everybody buys into what we're doing, and they truly believe in our culture, our team philosophies, and the foundations that we've set, which obviously most people know is our 7 Fs. And so I really don't have any expectations as far as wins and losses, or predictions rather, as far as wins and losses. I just really expect us to go out and really try to embody who we are. I'm big on marketing and branding, and so I ask the team all the time. When people see us play, what should they come to expect? We're Adidas school, so when you put on a pair of Adidas, there's a certain expectation that you have when you wear those shoes. When you drink a soft drink, I'm drinking a Saratoga water right there. There's a certain flavor that you expect to have, right? A consistency in that flavor. If you drink whatever it is, your favorite beverage, you typically want it to taste the same every time. And so for us as a football team, I asked, when people watch the FIU Panthers play, they should come with an expectation. I know when I see the team play, they're going to be these things. And for us, that has to be our 7 Fs. And so again, they have to see a team that plays with great faith, that believes in one another, a team that plays with phenomenal fundamentals, that doesn't beat itself, that plays fast and sacrifices for one another, that fights and competes for 4 quarters, that finishes plays and drives and halves and games, that has as much fun playing this game as anybody they've ever seen, and that does it collectively as one as a family. So when you watch us play, that's what you should see. And my expectation was that the sooner we got to that point, the better we play. And fortunately for us, we were able to hit our stride, there near the end of October. And obviously, we were able to have a run in November that this program has never seen before.
Got the win over Bethune, then go to Penn State, put up a really good performance, at least in that first half. Things got a little bit out of hand after that. But the big win was week 3 at Pitbull Stadium, the Shula Bowl. You mentioned that, the rain delay, the adversity, the losing streak, all of that. Just how big was that win for you guys looking back at it? And it was one of the things that I'm sure a lot of fans were kind of chirping away saying, this is a win, we need this win. Like, I think even ourselves as fans were just like, man, we got to win this one. Like, this is a big game for FIU. Just how big was that for you guys to get the Shula Bowl trophy back in the field house?
Yeah, obviously it was huge. Most programs, and I talked to the team about it that week, most programs are judged by how you perform against your rivals. And so, we want to win as many games as we possibly can. We want to go undefeated every year. We would love to, but knowing that's not likely to go undefeated every year, when you look back, you're really judged by how you perform against your rivals. My college career, we can talk about our record. We still, to this day, 25 years later, talk about our record versus University of South Carolina, because obviously that was our rival. That's still Clemson's rival. All my teammates that played at Florida State, they talk about their record against University of Miami or University of Florida. That's what you talk about. What's your record? That senior class, that's one of their claims of fame when they get ready to leave. Like, hey, I was so-and-so against my rival. And so for Keywan, for Deuce Blades and those guys, they'd never beaten their in-state rival. And so we wanted to make sure that was the case, that they can that they can leave this program whenever that time was proudly saying, I beat my rival. And for the freshman class, hey, let's start a tradition. We don't lose to our rival. And those guys were able to start that. So we brought the Sugar Bowl trophy back home to Pitbull Stadium, and we plan to keep it there, for a very, very long time. And so it was a huge win for the program, gave us a lot of momentum. It showed the team that we can win big games. And for a team that had a lot of success for 6 years prior to, that was a huge step for us to show that we can go and win big games and play well enough to beat someone that you hadn't had success against in the past.
Now, just so it's out there, who originally came up with the idea to not refer to Florida Atlantic as Florida Atlantic, but instead refer to them as them? Who came up with it?
It's something that we've really done kind of ever since. I think we started doing that, probably back early on when I was at Florida A&M. Obviously, Florida A&M's in-state rival. I can say it now, it's Bethune-Cookman because I'm no longer the head coach there.
Right.
But we started saying we don't refer to them by name, and they're them to us. Like it just really plays onto the rivalry that hey, we don't even say their name in this facility. So if you come into Kirkland Fieldhouse, our Kirkland Fieldhouse during game week, during the season, you'll see on the TVs beat whoever. First week was beat BCU, second week was beat Penn State, the third week was beat them.
Yes.
In our scout report, it was them. We never referred to them by name. We still don't to this day. So, again, just people say the next game's the biggest game and we don't circle any games in our calendar. That's all true. We still live by that philosophy. But when it's game week, you have to know this is a rivalry game. Like you can't downplay that this is indeed a rivalry game. You're going to be judged ultimately by how you perform in this game. And so I started out early in my career kind of taking that approach that, hey, it's just the next game. Like, let's not overhype this game and let's just practice the way we always – you got to turn the dial up a little bit more from a focus standpoint to know that, hey, emotions are going to be high. There are going to be a lot of things that happen throughout the course of the 60-minute game because of the nature of the game. Mm-hmm. And you got to be prepared to go into it differently a little bit mindset-wise than you would in the other game. And so I'm proud to say that we dubbed 3 quote-unquote rivals last season. That's them, MTSU, and Western Kentucky. And a program, like I said, again, that hadn't had a lot of success. To go 3-0 undefeated against those 3 teams was a huge step in the right direction for the future of this program.
Who is your big rival at Prairie View A&M, by the way?
Texas Southern.
Ah, there you go. There you go. And again, you referred to them as them, didn't you?
I don't think I did it back then. But it was the first game of the season too. So it was a unique deal that you actually played your state rival the very first game of the season. And fortunately for us, we went undefeated against them, 3-0. So knock on wood, we've had a fair deal of success. My first 2 years at FAMU, not so much. We dropped the Florida Classic, which was very, very dramatic for everybody involved. But the last 3 years, we were able to get them, and then obviously was able to take care of those guys up the road, up I-95 in this first year. So we've shown that we can play pretty good in rivalry games.
All right. Well, at some point, and I've been wanting this for a while, FIU needed a statement win in Conference USA, and I think they got that on the road in the beginning of weekday CUSA against Western Kentucky, who was at the time the top team in the conference. It was a game that no outside media gave FIU a chance in. Do you consider that to be the most satisfying win of the season, in your opinion? Or is there another one that I'm just not thinking of?
Well, it's definitely up there. I think obviously the win against our in-state rival was special. Just one, it was a home game. It was our first true test against a kind of a like opponent. Bethune was FCS. Penn State at the time was the number 3 team in America. And so the point spreads for those 2 games are pretty lopsided. But going into week 3, that was the first time it was an evenly matched game, so to speak, on paper. And so for us to really play well in that game and win, that was special. But then going into the Western game, we knew that they were a very formidable team. They had kind of been the class of Conference USA really probably over the last 8 years or so. And not the fact that we won the game, but the nature of which we won the game. I think that's what was probably so gratifying. I mean, we physically, beat them. I mean, we ran the ball for almost 300 yards. KJ had 190 something yards. Broke a 84-yard run there, backed up. We held a high-scoring, high-powered offense to 0 touchdowns on the day. They kicked 2 field goals. And so just the manner in which we won the game, again, I think gave the team a lot of confidence because it really showed us that not only can we win a game, but we can win it in convincing fashion. And so as you build a team and as you get to know these guys and really try to figure out what makes us tick and what our strengths and weaknesses, those type of moments there are things you have to lean on and really be able to take moving forward and say, hey, we see that when we play well, when we don't beat ourselves, we can be a really, really good football team. That was really the reoccurring theme this past season. When we didn't beat ourselves with turnovers or explosive plays or touchdowns on defense and special teams blunders, we won games. Every game that we didn't do those things, we won. The games we lost, we did those things in some capacity. So, for us moving forward in the year 2 is really honing in on those details and fundamentals to make sure that we give ourselves a chance to win every game. Because when we play well, we've shown that we can play with anybody in this league.
And that was the first road win. That was the first road win in a long time. So that was another one of those streak snapping moments for you guys out here too. Yeah,
I know DeWitt was Coach DeWitt really, really enjoyed that one because he had talked about how long it had been since they had won a road game. So it was very special for a lot of people. No Keywan, Blake, those guys that again had been here. I was really more happy for them because of what they had endured, during their time here at FIU. So to get that big, huge road win against the number 1 team in the conference on national television, it was a truly gratifying feeling.
Without a doubt. Your answer, by the way, leads perfectly into this next question I had about, obviously you preach playing your best football near the end of the season. The month of November for FIU was exactly that. Talk a bit about how you and the rest of the staff sort of helped the team keep their composure as that month of November went on, even with the addition of Joe Pazanski into the mix, and of course to end up securing bowl eligibility and get a 7th win just for the hell of it. But talk about what you had to do to make sure the team never went above their heads, if you will.
Yeah, obviously I can sit here and take credit for that, but I won't. I have to give credit where it's due. After the Missouri State game at the end of October, we were 3-5, and you're staring down a schedule that has Liberty and Jacksonville State in November. And so obviously you always try to be where your feet are and not try to look ahead. But as you get closer, once you're out of the quote unquote conference race, we talked to guys about goals, you start reshifting and reprioritizing goals. And so once we lost the 3rd conference game, we knew mathematically we were out of the conference race. So now it's, okay, we have to get bowl eligible, right? That's a huge goal for us to get bowl eligible. And when you're sitting at 3-5 with 4 left, you're like, okay, we got to go 3-1 at least. At the very least, go 3-1. And again, you're sitting there looking at 2 of the tougher teams in the conference. And so in the locker room, again, after Missouri State, we played arguably our worst game of the year, a game that we really all felt we should have won. We had a kind of a come to Jesus, and I really challenged the team there to really do some soul searching. We as a staff needed to do some soul searching, and we really had to figure out who we were going to be as a football team. And I tipped my hat to the leadership council. And that Sunday meeting, Johnny Chaney came and said, Coach, can we address the team? And of course, like I always do, the leadership council said, of course. So we didn't have a traditional team meeting that day. Walked in, I made sure everybody was in attendance, and the coaching staff left. And the players stayed, and they had a players-only team meeting. And have no idea what was said in that meeting, never asked. That was the last time we lost in the regular season. It was the week before that team meeting. So, again, I think we played better football, obviously. I think we overcame some adversity. It was great to have those 2 tough games at home. Obviously, Jacksonville State and Liberty were both home games. And so, again, I think things just really started to click for us as a football team. Our guys really started to understand that if we just continue to do what we preach, finish drives, compete hard every play, trust your fundamentals, communicate, we started playing much better football. Like I said, again, you look at special teams. We went from one of the poor special teams units early in the season to being one of the more dominant units at the end of the season. You look at us on defense. We went from a lot of explosive plays, giving up for touchdowns early in the year, to, for all intents and purposes, shutting down two of the better offenses in the conference in the second half, in that Liberty game and in the Jacksonville State game, right? Alex Perry went from a few catches a game to multiple touchdown catches the last half of the season. And then obviously Joe Plazansky came in and gave us a spark at quarterback. So, there were a lot of things that attributed to us having that success. But again, if I had to pinpoint one thing, that players on the team meeting that those guys had going into the Middle Tennessee week really, really turned the corner for us as a team. And I think the guys really started believing one another.
Another big reason, Coach. I mean, KJ Owens, the season that he had, the single best season in program history for an FIU running back, and I don't think it comes close. Just talk about his season, how big he was. You mentioned the Western Kentucky game, 195 rushing yards. He had the 84 rushing yard explosion play. Didn't quite get the touchdown, but it's still the longest play from scrimmage on offense for FIU that season. I mean, just his season, seeing him at the bowl games, the Senior Bowl, the American Bowl. I know you were at the Senior Bowl to get to watch him. Just how special is that for you in your first year to see him? And I'll let you make the case for him to all the NFL teams that are maybe watching. Probably none of them are, but the case for them to draft him.
Yeah, I think a lot of the attention when I got here was keeping lights as the quarterback, and when we were able to keep lights, everyone was excited, and rightfully so. Preseason offensive player of the year in the conference, a lot of starts under his belt, and obviously we all know how important the quarterback position is. But arguably the biggest signee, so to speak, was retaining KJ Owens, because he was also in the transfer portal. Many people don't think about that.
Mm-hmm.
So that initial conversation that I had with him, just telling him to trust me. Just trust that we're going to do right by you. We're going to feature you in this offense. He believed in us, and he really worked hard to be the player that he became. I don't think his talent changed. I think KJ has always been a talented guy, but to be in a system that featured him as a running back, that really bought into what we were doing, and just to see his growth and maturation. The people that were on the staff previous years commented about KJ and how much more mature he was in 25 than he was in previous years. And I can remember one moment that really spoke to that. We run gassers after every Wednesday practice. It's kind of the last physical day of the week that we're in pads. And so we finished the week with 3 half gassers. And we do it by position. So the bigs are on one end of the field, then the mid skills, and then the skill guys. And so the skill guys either missed their time or were close to missing their time. And KJ was near the back. And so one of the defensive players kind of challenged KJ, and we're in South Florida. So you challenge the guy's manhood, we all kind of know what the result is likely to be. So it didn't get physical, but it was moving in that direction to the point where that was like the first gasser. So for the rest of the time, it's KJ and this teammate jaw-jacking the entire time. Coaches are trying to de-escalate it. Teammates are trying to de-escalate it, and it never stopped. Like, it was one of those deals where you're like, okay, I'm at to intervene, or this may spill over into the locker room, which is the number one no-no of our football team. Whatever happens on the field stays on the field. And so it was a moment that in the past, maybe it goes south for KJ. That after we got done and we went and broke it down as a team, KJ came to me and said, "Coach, can I address the team?" And of course, sure. He went and apologized to the team, apologized to the teammate, and really took ownership of his actions in that moment, saying that that's not the leader he wants to be. That's not the player, the person that he wants to be. And after that, KD, who, again, had been a director of player personnel or player development, which meant she spent a lot of time with those guys in the past, came to me afterwards and said, KJ would have never done that in the past. Like I've never seen him do that as far as apologize and take ownership of what he had done. So just to see again how much he's grown, how committed he was to his craft. Of course, we all know that he's a really, really good football player. And so that was what was most rewarding. The pitch of the NFL is simple. Turn the tape on. Like just turn the tape on. Like he did it against Penn State. He did it against, UConn. I mean, everybody on the schedule, KJ had long runs. I think he was top 5 in the country at explosive runs. And so the one knock on KJ probably would be that he doesn't have elite speed. He's not a 4.3 40 guy. He's not maybe not even a 4.4 40 guy. So for a guy that his quote unquote weakness would be speed, he's top 5 in the nation in explosive runs. So that says something, right? So NFL scouts, personnel directors, GMs, just turn the tape on. You got 13 games to take to watch KJ Owens this year. And I've coached a back that I coached is in the NFL. If that guy played in the league, and I'm happy for him, he's a really good football player as well. KJ Owens deserves every opportunity to be drafted and get on the NFL roster. And I think once he does that, he'll do the rest.
Whoops. Coach, didn't win the bowl game, but just talk about the experience, knowing that you guys were able to make it there. I know we spoke about it post game, just, the success you guys had, although it wasn't how you guys wanted it to end with, losing a UTSA, but just getting there. How big was that for you guys in year one, and how much better does that help, obviously, to sell this program to recruits in the transfer portal, which we'll talk about in a bit?
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, it was a great accomplishment. Everyone was extremely excited to get the bowl berth, and we had a great time in Dallas. I know the players enjoyed themselves, coaches, the families enjoyed themselves, and the bowl was really good to us. And so it's a phenomenal experience. I know the college football playoff now, a lot of the attention has been taken away from the bowls, but I still think for a group of 5 teams, even Power 4 teams, like that's still one of the most rewarding things because it gives you something to play for. There's only going to be one national champion. There's only going to be 9 conference champions or 10 out in New Mountain West or whatever the case may be. And so there's 126 or 7 or 8 now other teams who still have something to play for, like to be able to extend their season, to have those extra practices, to go to another location and expose your team to a different environment, different culture. That's a special feeling. And bowls are things that guys remember forever. I still remember every bowl I played in as a college athlete. Going to Boise, Idaho, going to Orlando, going to Jacksonville, going to Atlanta for my first ever bowl experience at the Peach Bowl. Like, we remember those games even more so than we remember regular season games. And so it was a special moment, special feeling for us. Again, didn't end the way that we wanted it to, obviously, but can't take anything away from the team, from what those guys were able to accomplish in year one. With not many people giving us a chance or expecting a lot out of us, with all the guys that we lost, for them to be able to finish the season, especially in the month of November, the way we did, to get the bowl eligibility. Again, I it's one of the more proud moments that I've had as a head football coach.
We talk about the KJs, the Alex Perrys, even the Joe Pazanskis, but just who are some of the underrated guys on this team that you really think stepped up and were a huge impact for you last season?
Oh man, it's easy. The Cocaine Cowboys. I mean, you look at Bobby Saleh, Ross Fournette, McGuire Anderson, and Jose Corbo. You're talking about 4 guys who collectively may have played 100 snaps on offense or defense, scrimmage snaps, but that played every special team snap the entire season. That's commitment. That's sacrifice. That's unselfishness. And that's a team. Like, when you look at the football team that we had in 2025 and you say, what was the pulse of our team? I think it was those 4 guys, because it got to the point where everybody on the team was looking forward to what they were going to do on kickoff coverage. Like, we prayed that we won a coin toss so that we can defer, that those guys can take the field first, or that the other team was crazy enough to take the ball if they wanted to toss. But we wanted our kickoff coverage team to take the field first. And we did not want Noah Grant to kick the ball out of the end zone. Like, we wanted him to kick the ball in play, because we knew that if the returner fielded the ball in play and tried to return it, there's a great chance that one of those 4 guys is going to make a big hit on them. And so as I think about the team in the season, like those guys, I mean, just it was amazing to see just them really buy into their roles. Like that's one of the toughest things to do as a head coach of 105 guys, is to make everyone understand the roles that they have. Everybody wants to be the featured running back, the featured receiver, the featured defensive end, the starting corner, the starting wheel linebacker. Everybody wants that, but everybody's not going to get that. Somebody has to be, we tell the guys all the time, somebody has to be the Robin to somebody else's Batman, you know, and most people that know me know I'm a huge Marvel fan. I love Marvel movies. Can't wait for the Avengers movie to come out in December. I'm already counting down the days. But you're taking a star-studded cast of how many 30, 40 A-listers who can have their own standalone movies, and you're putting them in a mega movie. So this person who's had their own movie may have 2 or 3 lines in the entire movie, but they have to go and do that line to the best of their ability to make the movie be what it is. And that's what we tell our guys. So those 4 guys took their roles, even though they weren't high-profile roles. Nobody ever talked about them. Nobody ever called their names. But they took the most pride in their roles as special teams, you know, guys for us. Those are the unsung heroes of that 2025 football team.
That's a great answer there, Coach, and you've been amazing so far. But I'd like to say we've reached the halfway point, Kevin. So is it time for a bit of a news break to catch you all up on what's been going on?
It's a lengthy one, so let's do it.
And that's the thing. We haven't done a news break in a while. That so many pre-recorded episodes, it's hard to keep up with the news. We've done so many at FIU Athletics. Let's take a look here at Jake's news break and look at all things FIU Athletics and just FIU in general. We'll start off with FIU Athletics, as nominations are now open and being accepted for the 2026 FIU Athletics Hall of Fame class, which will only be the 3rd class ever inducted. The deadline to nominate candidates for the potential inclusion in the class of 2026 is 11:59 Eastern on Sunday, March the 1st. It can be submitted at FIUsports.com. Now, former student athletes, teams, coaches, administrators, and contributors of FIU Athletics are eligible to be nominated. However, there's a minimum of 10 years that must have been passed from a student athlete's final season of eligibility, and a minimum of 5 years for all others. So be sure to think of some great names there. There are certainly plenty of great FIU athletes to choose from that could fit in that. Now, up next is FIU women's tennis, as Katerina Mandelikova was named Conference USA's Women's Tennis Player of the Week in singles. Mandelikova, a senior from the Czech Republic, produced a dominant performance at the #1 singles against the 25th ranked UCF Knights. She handled her competition in straight sets, 6-0 and 7-5, snapping a 9-match win streak for her opponent. This is the first player of the week this season for Mandelikova and FIU women's tennis. This is her first singles honor since February 2024 and her 2nd overall. And now, lastly, we have an upcoming event featuring our very own guest of this episode. It is none other than FIU alumni's Cocktails with the Coach. Enjoy light bites and 2 complimentary drink tickets as you mix and mingle with FIU football head coach Willie Simmons, student athletes, the coaching staff, and FIU leadership. This event takes place on March the 12th from 6 to 8 p.m. at Pitbull Stadium's North Concourse. You can purchase tickets online at FIUsports.com/cocktails event. And that was it for news break. Coach, what's the drink order? What are we getting at this event?
Well, I'm a wine drinker only, so as long as they have my cab, I think we're going to be okay. But I think they're going to have a pretty extensive drink list. So not quite sure what's on the menu, but I'm sure there'll be something for everyone.
All right, Coach. To completely steer away from FIU for a second, this has been a weird offseason for FBS. We have 2 new teams joining FBS: North Dakota State to the Mountain West, Sacramento State to the MAC. I mean, do you like the moves? Are there some more FCS teams you think should make the move up to FBS, in your opinion?
Well, I'll tell you what, in today's climate, nothing surprises me. I mean, I think North Dakota State's a team that we've all watched over the last 2 decades dominate the FCS space. And just say, like, at some point, like, what are you doing? I mean, you won every national title basically for the last 20 years. So how many more can you win before you take that next step up? So I'm not surprised, that they're moving up. I think they're a team that's positioned to come right in and be competitive right away. I wouldn't want to play them right away. So those Mountain West teams, I know they're probably a little bit nervous about North Dakota State joining their conference, but I think it's great for college football. They have a strong brand, so I really think that they'll do a lot to continue to brand the West Coast. I'm really, really happy for Sacramento State. Their head coach, Alonzo Carter, is one of my closest friends in the profession. I was just with him this past weekend up in D.C. at a coaches conference, and he had fought a long time to become a head coach. He's been coaching for over 20 years, been a position coach at the Power 4 level, been a JUCO head coach, a Group of 5 position coach, and for him to get that opportunity and a couple of months after he gets named, they make the decision to move up to FBS. It's something that I know he's very, very excited about. So, again, there are other teams I think that are in position to do that. You look at our conference, Delaware, Missouri State came to the league in the first year and both were bowl eligible. And so, you look at Sam Houston moving up a couple of years ago and competing for a conference championship, Jacksonville State over the last couple of years. And then you look at other schools like Georgia Southern, App State, Kennesaw State, won the league this year. They've only been FBS for a couple of years. So, the gaps now aren't as wide, I think, between the higher level FCS programs and the Group of 5 programs. And so, now obviously it's financially a commitment. And I think we all saw how much Sacramento State committed to making that transition. So, hey, I think expansion is good for the sport. I'm sure there are other teams that are having that conversation, even in our conference, with the potential of a couple of teams moving out. I think Conference USA is a prime, is in prime position to bring up a couple of really, really quality FCS programs that are in great locations to continue to raise the brand of this league.
All right, let's get the Citadel to FBS. Willie Simmons coaching against his former team. That would be pure cinema. No. Something ongoing at Pitbull Stadium. They've been posting it on social media. The stadium's getting new turf. It'll be completed hopefully sooner rather than later. Talk about, when you heard that this was happening and how excited you are and the players are for the new turf and your stance on turf versus natural grass.
You're trying to get me in trouble now.
I'm sorry. It came up.
Yeah, no, I'm very excited, for the new turf to go down. Obviously, the turf that we had last year had been down for a while, and it has a shelf life, much like everything else. And so you want to protect the players. You want to make sure they're on the best surface possible. And so it was long overdue, So again, I'm thankful. Tip my hat to Scott Carr, AD, for having a vision, for hearing our student athletes and making this happen. So again, like you said, hopefully it's down sooner rather than later. I know it'll be ready for the football season, so we're really excited to debut the new turf for the 26th season. As far as the difference between turf and grass, I grew up playing on natural grass. Turf for us when we played was like concrete. So, I still got what we call a strawberry back in the day, where you fall and all your skin is off your arm or your leg. So I still think I can see remnants of that from 25 years ago in the Peach Bowl up in Atlanta, playing on the true artificial turf from back in the day. So, obviously now there are companies that really do a lot of research and development, trying to make the artificial turf as close to grass as possible. So now they take into account the heat. Obviously, if you're in Miami, you want a different type of turf than if you're up in maybe the Midwest. How many type of different sports play on that surface. So obviously we were sharing the field with the FC Miami. And so having a surface that was conducive to soccer was important to us. I don't know if that'll be the case moving forward. But again, I can't speak strong enough about it. I haven't done the research. I know there are people out there that have done the research to see the amount of lower body injuries and whether it's a correlation between artificial surfaces and natural surfaces. I know there's a huge push for the NFL for everyone to go back to natural grass.
Right.
But again, it's cost effective, I think. So we're going to play on whatever surface we're given, but again, I don't have enough expertise to speak on whether turf and artificial, what's better, turf or artificial grass. I know it rains a lot in Miami, so we're thankful to have a practice turf field so that when it rains, we can still go out and play on a good surface, because we have a full-length grass field and a full-length turf field adjacent to one another. And near those latter months of October and early November, is really, really difficult to practice on natural grass for 3 straight days without eating it up pretty bad.
I'm curious, during that process, do they reach out to you about like the turf, like what type of turf, and can you talk to us about what type of turf exactly, if you happen to know this, will be implemented now into the stadium? And I mean, this last turf was there for a long time, so I'm sure this one's a lot different now, just given how long it's been.
Yeah, no doubt. This one will be green. I can tell you that much. I think the turf last year, so many renditions, it was like I don't know what color that was, but by the time, so this one will be green. But no, it's I don't know the specifics of the turf. I'm not a turf guru, but it's the same turf that the Miami Dolphins have in their practice facility. I think 15 NFL ball clubs have that turf either on their game field or in their practice facility. There are a lot of major, powerful institutions that again have that type of turf, or either on their game field or their practice facility. So it's the top of the line, state of the art turf. It's what is the most up to date, kind of the grade A of artificial surfaces. So we're really excited to have it, and I know our players are too.
So your coaching staff stayed almost intact, except the one spot, the defensive line coach, which it was announced today that Joe Compton, who brings championship experience at the defensive line position. He's been at a lot of spots. You, I think, coincided with him at Middle Tennessee. Talk to us about that decision, how this search went, and what made you land on Joe as the next defensive line coach here at FIU.
Yeah, no, definitely. When Coach KU came and told me that he would be exploring other opportunities, it was a blow for us, and obviously had to really pivot quickly. It was unexpected, so naturally you have a defensive line group that, a lot of those guys had just gotten here through the transfer portal. Then you had Kenton Simmons and Dante Anderson and those guys, and Jermaine Carter returning. So, needing to fill that spot relatively quickly was something that, I talked to Coach DeWitt about. We didn't want to rush it. We wanted to go through an exhaustive process, extensive interviewing process, and we did. We interviewed a lot of guys, and Coach Carlton, again, is a guy that I've worked with in the past, the year 2010 at Middle Tennessee. So know his character, know what type of ball coach he is, spoke with people who've worked with him in the past. And based on what we felt we needed for that position, he checked all those boxes. And so, again, he brings that championship pedigree. He's been a coordinator for over 20 years at the major college level. And so, again, bringing expertise, bringing experience, bringing championship pedigree, bringing recruiting prowess was something that I think we desperately needed at the position. And so really excited to have Joe here. Hopefully we can get him on the show. He can tell you kind of about his first couple of days on the job. Pretty eventful. So I won't steal his thunder. I'll let him tell you that. But no, we're really excited to have Coach Carlton, and I think the players have really meshed well with him in a very short period of time.
And I left this with a tease, Coach, but just talk about 2 additions. You made 2 additions to the support staff, and you also made a promotion. You added Keith McClunley, McClooney, as director of recruiting, and then, or not a director of recruiting, assistant AD football strategic initiatives, and then director of recruiting is Alicia Payne, and then you promoted Katie Willis to football operations. Just talk about those 3 moves and what went into them.
Yeah, no, start out with KD. Obviously KD is royalty here at FIU. She's an alum. She's been here, through multiple staffs, and she's kind of the godmother, so to speak, of the guys. But as loyal as you can be around, as hardworking and committed of a person, as you're going to find, and really cares. She really cares about this institution. She cares about the players. And she's someone that I trust will oversee the entire program. She's director of operations, so everything that flows through the program flows through her. So she's kind of my right hand person now, of course, taking over the role that LaTroy Johnson had this past year. So we're really excited about her promotion. Alicia Payne is our director of recruiting, comes to us from Alabama State. She served in that role at Alabama State, did a phenomenal job there, and has a wealth of experience. The thing that really stood out about Alicia was how well versed she is in technology and graphics and things of that nature. So she really brings a unique perspective to that position. Not just a person that does recruiting. She does computers, she does graphics, she does event planning. I mean, she does a little bit of everything. And that role now in college athletics, you don't even have to have a football background to be the director of recruiting now. You got to be organized. You got to know how to event plan and things of that nature. So she's an expert at that. And then Keith McClooney is an individual who I'm familiar with from the past. He was our deputy AD at Florida A&M, during my time there. He's been involved in fundraising and being a deputy AD. His new title of strategic initiatives really speaks to enhancing the football program. So there's a kind of a branding component. There's I hate to say fundraising, but there's some lack of better terms, fundraising components where he's really going to help assist me and Scott and the administration and hopefully securing some donorships for the program and just enhancing the overall experience. Anything he sees that needs to be enhanced, he's going to bring that to me, and we're going to work hard to fix those things. So we're really excited about those 3 additions, and then we're right in the process now of naming a director of scouting. We're working through the last details of that, and hopefully we'll be able to announce that here in the next couple of days.
That's certainly exciting. Now, Coach, I'd like to say we have a heavy list of returners who have pledged their allegiance to FIU this upcoming season. I mean, which are the ones you'd say, oh my God, thank God they are returning back to ride it out with the Panthers, at least for one more year, in your opinion?
Well, the guys who entered the portal, who came back, starting on the offensive side of the ball, you got Antonio Tripp on the offensive line, Zaire Flournoy, and Miguel Cedeno. Those are 3 guys that played a lot of snaps for us on the offensive line. Zaire never went in, but Antonio Tripp and Miguel both tested the waters and both decided to come back. So we're really excited about those guys. And then on the defensive side, obviously, Kent Simmons, being a second-team all-conference performer. A lot of interest from Power 4 programs, but for him to decide to come back. And then Shamir Sterling, obviously a guy that, has all the potential in the world, size, athleticism, would have definitely been a guy who would have garnered a lot of interest, never entered the portal per se, but definitely glad he didn't. So those really 5 guys were really the staple of guys that returned to us this past season. And AC Anthony Carey is another guy, again, who we're looking forward to having a big year replacing KJ Owens. So those will probably be the 6 guys that jump out as guys that obviously could have entered the portal but decided to remain with us, and we're very thankful for them, and we think they'll all have breakout years for us.
The one portal window, which was back in, I believe, January during the playoffs, which is an interesting choice. On a scale of 1 to infinity, how crazy was it to do what you had to do in that very limited window? And like I said, the only window there was.
Infinity plus 1. We talked about this as head coaches at the convention, in 24, 25, the start of 25, when we had our head coaching convention meeting every year. It was a window that we all voted on, agreed on. There's no perfect window, obviously, because of academic calendars and then the football season. So you try to, what's the lesser of 2 evils? Do you have a portal window before the spring term starts where you're trying to get your team together and take them through spring? Do you wait until after the spring semester, after the college football playoff, where you're not worried about tampering and guys during the season opting out on those type of things? But now you're through the spring semester, and now you can't bring any new players in until the summertime. So, again, there are a lot of internal conversations that will continue to be had, trying to figure out when is the best time to have a transfer portal window. And so, for me, we have to make do with whatever we have. So we had the same struggle as everyone else. We had to work extremely quickly to get guys on campus, to get a feel for who they are and whether they fit, our program. And we feel really good about the 20 guys that we added to the fold in this transfer portal window. So obviously we got to see what happens this fall. But I thought given the circumstances, our coaches did a really, really phenomenal job along with our support staff of identifying the right fit for what we needed to do as a program moving forward.
Two of the names that really stand out. I mean, as a quarterback, you bring in J.J. Cole, and then a wide receiver, you bring in Greg Gaines from Rhode Island. Two guys who actually are pretty familiar with each other. They're both at Iowa State in 2023, I want to say. They were teammates. But, talk a little bit about those two guys, how excited you were to bring them in. I know Cole, you guys had prior interest in him in the last year in the portal. He even took a visit. And then now this time around, once again enters. You guys end up getting him. But just talk about those two guys and who else stands out to you in this portal class.
Yeah, definitely excited about JJ and Greg. Like you said, JJ took an official visit to us our first year, spring of 25 when we first got here. Really liked it, liked the school, liked Coach Coleman, liked what we did on offense. Ultimately chose to attend another institution. Went there, played, had some success, but things didn't work out the way that he wanted them to, and entered the portal and gave us a call. So we were able to get him the second time around. Same with Brayshawn Littlejohn. He's the same. He's in the same situation. Took an official visit here. Ironically, he and JJ ended up going to the same school.
Yeah.
And then both got in the portal and left, and then came here. So we're really excited about those guys. Greg was kind of a late addition. Alex Perry entered the portal and kind of not flirted around, but of all the guys that entered, I felt confident that he would be of all the ones going in that would be most likely to return based on the conversation that we had. And then when he ultimately decided to leave, we were kind of stuck needing another target at that X position. And Greg Gaines was a guy who's a Florida guy from Tampa, had been extremely successful at the FCS level, 1,000-yard receiver this past season, and a big long target, not quite as tall as Alex Perry, but still a 6'3" target that gives JJ another big physical receiver out wide. So we're really excited to get him in the fold late, and we think he's going to have a chance to have a special season. But then we're really excited about the defensive side of the ball. The guys we're able to bring in on the defensive side, with all the defensive tackles, Anthony Cunningham, R.J. Moss, Nate Cunningham, Nate I think Stewart. I'm mixing names all together myself. And then the backers, Brayshawn, Pickle. And then in the secondary, we're really excited about the secondary guys. DeAndre Boykin, Devontae Floyd, Ryan Gatson, Lawrence Johnson, Wesley Miller. We're really excited about what those guys can bring to the table, because the good thing about them, they all have experience playing, and that's what we really look for more than anything else. So I thought defensively, we made some really strong additions that are going to give us a chance to take our defense to the next level.
I'm curious, Coach. Were you spying on South Alabama throughout the season? You got three guys from there, all on the defensive side. I mean, just talk about those three guys, though. Wesley Miller, the safety, got a lot of run at South Alabama, coincidentally. Played a lot there, started games. That was a huge get for you guys at the safety spot, where now you're going to have to replace Josiah McGrew and even Websley with some depth there. So just talk about that, Wesley, and those three South Alabama guys.
Yeah, no doubt. Obviously, defensive line was a position that we really wanted to boost. And so really being able to go in and get Big Nate, coming in, and then RJ, 200-300-pound D tackles who played there and had some success. And then actually it was Nate who kind of told me about Wesley. We kind of had that safety spot left, and there were a few guys that we had talked to and potentially were going to visit. And we didn't think Wesley was available. I mean, he was a guy that was heavily recruited out of high school. Played a ton at South Alabama, started for them, highly productive. And so when we first evaluated him, we thought he was going to kind of be a powerful player. And so we really didn't actively recruit Wesley. But then once we signed Nate and RJ, Nate was like, hey, what do you think about Wesley? And ironically, his agent had just reached out like that same day. And so we made the connection. And believe it or not, Wesley signed with us sight unseen, because by the time he reached out to us and we connected with him, we only had one more day left in the window. So we couldn't, not in the window, but to get him in school. So we couldn't really official visit him and wait, because we would have bypassed our drop ad date. So, just off the strength of relationships, some really great phone conversations with Coach Gilstrap, myself, Wesley signed with us. And we've been really, really pleased and impressed with him, since he's been here. He's a very athletic young man. again, we definitely think he'll be able to continue the strong play that we had at safety last year, next to Shamir and D Hill and some of those other guys.
I'm curious, Coach. Can you kind of explain how it works? So the window ends, but like everyone who still kind of remains in the portal, what happens with those guys? Are they able to sign? What happens there? Because obviously not just they can't sign, but they don't even have a school to go to, probably.
Well, once you enter the portal window, you allow yourself to be recruited by other institutions. You can be contacted. The rule is, though, you have to enter your name into the transfer portal within that 15-day window. So okay. January 5th, January 2nd to January 16th this year was that window. And so anyone who entered their name at that point, they can be contacted by schools until they land at their next institution. So even after the 16th closed, you can still recruit those guys. So theoretically, there are players out there who haven't signed. We can still call, we can still visit during contact periods and things of that nature. Now, there are a lot of guys who are still unsigned, but because they entered their name into the transfer portal during the window, they're still able to be recruited by other institutions.
Gotcha. One name I did want to ask you about was Davion Harley. This is a guy who has Conference USA experience, quite a bit of it actually, won the CUSA championship at Jack State, was a starter at Jack State, went to Cal for a year. Like, what went into him, bringing him on, and where do you project him within this, I guess, starting line? I mean, with the amount of experience it has, I would assume he's probably going to be maybe starting center.
Yeah, well, Davion's actually from my hometown. So, grew up in Quincy, played at Gadsden County High School. So, know all him, his family. Of course, he knows me and my family. But like you said, he's a guy that, started his career at Jacksonville State, was a highly productive, interior offensive lineman, played guard and center there. Much like most starting offensive linemen in Conference USA, after a good year, he moved up to the Power 4 level, much like Jakeem Buchanan and, D. Mitch and some of those guys. So went out to Cal, which far away from home from Quincy, Florida, let me tell you that. But things didn't work out quite the way he wanted them to. And, he entered the portal. And so with our need for an interior offensive lineman with Julius Pierce and Jaheim Buchanan leaving, it really opened up a void for us, and he fit it, So we're really looking forward to him coming in, competing. We project him to be a center. Right now, he's competing with Jonathan Rodriguez for the starting center position, and so that'll be a fierce competition throughout the spring. But really excited about Davion. Not the biggest guy, 6'1", about 310 pounds, but really strong, really athletic, smart football player. And so we really think that he'll be able to come in and with his experience, give us another solid interior offensive line to be able to continue to run the ball like we did last year, and also be able to protect the quarterback. We were one of the least sacked teams in Conference USA.
Where are we with the punters, Coach? You check the roster. You got Stone Springman, who looks like he has some potential. Previous school was in Miami, but where are we with the punter position?
Yeah, the punter is one of the few positions that we're still actively recruiting. Okay. So we did not identify one in the spring portal window. So at the spring practice, we will continue to assess that position. So looking through the transfer portal, but also looking at the junior college ranks, there are guys out there, So we didn't want to rush. We don't punting is kind of one of those things where, yes, we're going to work punt during the spring, but we'd much rather wait to find the right punter than to just take one for the sake of having a punter, because you're typically only going to sign one. You're going to sign one punter in each class. And so being that we're only going to take one, we want to make sure that we were patient and that we found the right fit. So that's one of the few positions that we still have available, along with a couple offensive linemen, one more quarterback, and possibly a defensive end.
Okay. That was just the one position looking through the roster. I was like, there just ain't a whole lot there. But all right, moving away from recruiting, at least for this episode. Talk about expectations for both yourself and this team for year number 2. Are we at the point where a bowl game is the floor for this team, and now the goal is conference title? Was it always that? And just you as a coach, man, how are the expectations growing for that too?
Yeah, I told the team in our first team meeting in January, we got back, that yes, it was great to get to a bowl in 25. Really proud of the accomplishment. Really happy for the senior class. But moving forward, no one should be expected. No one should be excited that we're in a bowl. Like, that should be the expectation, is that we're a bowl eligible football team. And so, yes, we have very lofty goals that we set for ourselves as a program. And so, we feel strongly that we should be in the championship conversation. And we showed last year that, if we play good football, that we can be in that conversation. And so, yes, that's where it starts. We're not going to stick up on anybody. Last year we may have surprised a few people, didn't quite know what to expect. It's not going to be the case this year. FIU will be a team that people circle on their calendar saying that, hey, when these guys roll into town or when we go down to Pitbull Stadium, we better be ready to play. So again, the expectation is that we prepare to be the hunted and not the hunter, because we feel like that's what we're going to be this year. So just looking forward to this team continuing to come together and gel. This coaching staff, the support staff, the new additions really coming together. And the expectation is that we're excellent. That's our standard. The standard here is excellence, and that's in everything we do. That's on the football field. That's in the classroom. That's out in the community, that we are excellent. And that starts with me as a leader, being excellent in my role as a head football coach, and then it trickles down to everyone within the organization. So the way we do anything is the way we do everything. And so we want to make sure that we take that mindset, not starting now, but starting back in January when this team started to assemble.
Coach, I'm excited for this non-conference schedule, and I want to know your thoughts on this, because some of these matchups and trips sound very exciting. Of course, you're going up to Tampa to take on USF, who has their brand new head coach for the future in Heartline. And then you go to Boca Raton, where you have the Shula Bowl trophy. Now you got to go to their joint and defend the trophy there. And of course, you also welcome in Buffalo, who had a respectable 5-7 season in 2025.
Yeah, we're really excited about the non-conference schedule. Opening up in Tampa against South Florida, an in-state opponent, in the American Conference. So 2 American Conference teams.
Yeah.
No Power 4 team on the schedule this year, but 2 American Conference teams. So and they're both in state. So the 3 mid-major programs in the state of Florida, they're all playing. Or at least we're playing both of them, the other 2. So really excited about going up to Tampa, going over to Boca. And again, like you said, trying to start the season off on a great note with a win against South Florida, but also going up to Boca, but turning around, coming back with the Shula Bowl trophy still with us. And that's the goal. So we're really looking forward to those games, and then to have Buffalo and Long Island, 2 teams from the Northeast coming down to sunny Miami. Hopefully it's early kickoff. We can crank the heat up a little bit and see how we play down here in the sunny South.
I'm curious, Coach, because we asked this to Percy, and he said he really didn't see, like, he was like, you know what, it's not that big of a deal for me. But, like, do you think it matters a little more that all the games are in Florida? Like, you don't have to take a plane. At least I don't know what the Tampa situation looks like, but you don't have to take a plane. Maybe you could stay in Miami a little bit more. Like, do you see a difference there where maybe you feel like you're at more of an advantage where whole non-con is in the state of Florida?
Well, honestly, I think, and Percy's probably right. We're so routine oriented that a plane ride is a plane ride. So whether you're flying to Tampa or flying to State College, like you're gonna get to the airport, we're gonna load the plane, get out sandwiches. I'm gonna fall asleep as soon as I get on the plane, and I'm gonna wake up when we land. So whether we're flying a short jump to Tampa or whether we're flying out to Tempe, Arizona, as soon as I sit down and buckle my seatbelt, I'm out like a light. And I'll be out like a light until we land. So that's typically how we are with travel trips, away trips. The Boca trip will be a little bit different because obviously we will bus to that one. So that's probably the only time that we'll be on a bus for an extended period of time, hour or whatever, however long it takes to get there from campus. But yeah, the guys are there. I mean, they're creatures of habit. So a flight's a flight, a bus trip's a bus trip, a home game's a home game. That's kind of how we look at it.
Still, I expect to see an extensive amount of the FIU faithful, not just at the Boca game, of course, but also making the trip up to Tampa. I know Kevin and I will for sure be doing that without a doubt. I just realized, Coach, you won't have the opportunity to take on UTEP as your time here at FIU. You kind of disappointed you can't visit the amazing Sun Bowl out there in the mountains.
I'm not disappointed at all. That was in El Paso, Texas. Trust and believe. I can do without that trip.
I completely understand. I've heard nightmares from the players about those trips, not just there, also to Las Cruces for the games against New Mexico State. All right, Coach. Now, Kevin, unless you have something else real quick, we have some fan questions lined up that some fans submitted to ask them. Some of them really good. Some of them are, we'll say, interesting, but let's get right into it. Starting off with,
you got to start Papa Panther.
Okay, all right. Let's start with the Papa Panther. I did allude to it. Let me go to that one. Here we go. Eddie Papa Panther. Are there any guardrails being considered for the current state of the NCAA athletics or NIL or transfer portal that you are hearing about? I had heard one free transfer and then must sit out a year, with the exception of coaching changes. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, obviously a lot of discussions, higher up discussions about the future of the transfer portal and what that looks like. I have not heard anything as far as definitive about reducing the unlimited transfer rule. So as of right now, I don't think that's something that will be coming down the pike within this next cycle. So players will still be allowed the opportunity to transfer multiple times without penalty.
All right, next question is from Daniel Steenkamer, who is actually the host of the Feathers and Field Goals podcast, which covers conference opponent Delaware. He asks, what do you like about Zach Marker's game, and how was the process identifying him coming off his injury in 2025?
Yeah, Coach Coleman, identified Zach Marker relatively early. We were aware that obviously he's come off an ACL injury, but Zach was named the starter at Delaware before he hurt his knee. So really excited about his potential. Obviously he'll be limited this spring, coming off a major knee injury. But again, his potential we think is really, really good. He's very similar to Joe Pozansky as far as his temperament, his mindset. They came here with the thought of competing for the job, obviously, but really learning from me, learning from Coach Coleman. Both want to get into the coaching profession and felt that this is the type of system that they will benefit from being in. So really excited about Zach as a potential kind of another coach on the field. And just like Joe, if he gets his opportunity to go in and play, we feel confident that he'll be able to play at a very, very high level.
All right, next up is Andrew Chin, who is part of the fantastic FIU Sports fan group in Facebook, which I suggest all of you watching go and join if you have a Facebook account. He asks, I often see the transfer portal as a negative for G5 teams. Would have been some positives for FIU in regards to the portal, and what would you change about the portal overall?
What would I change? We don't have enough time to talk about what I changed. But,
okay.
But no, I mean, the portal giveth and the portal taketh away. That's kind of how I look at it. I have a philosophy that I just stick by. Told the team, told the coaching staff, if something only happens to us, then we can complain about it, talk about it till the cows come home. But if everybody else is dealing with it, what's the point? Transfer portal affects every team in America. Right, There's not a team out here that's immune to the transfer portal. Indiana just won a national title, and they had guys leave their program. Yeah, University of Miami just played for a national title, and they've had multiple guys leave their program. But they've also brought multiple players to their program, and same with us. So yes, would have loved to have had Josiah McGrew for another season, but we're also excited to see what Wesley Miller can do. So again, you got to prepare for it. You got to change with the times. Like I tell our team, our coaches all the time, we have to be Netflix. We can't be Blockbuster. We can't sit there in that old mindset. We got to be Amazon. Can't be Toys R Us. Those companies are no longer in existence because they felt they had a model that was impenetrable. Like we got the market on toys at Toys R Us. We got the market on rental DVDs or whatever, cassette tapes or whatever it was that Blockbusters rented back in the day. And when this new thing called Redbox and Netflix and all these other streaming services came about, the Blockbuster kind of sat there and then changed. And we see now our team don't even know what Blockbuster is. If I said Blockbuster, nobody on this team would even know what I was talking about. So we got to. Yeah, you do. We do. We're a little bit older, but we got to make sure that we're staying up to date with the trends, that we're utilizing the transfer portal for what it is. And that we're preparing for what's to come. We know right now that if one of those freshmen that we just signed comes in and jumps on the scene and has a great first game, much like a Josiah McGrew, better get ready. We either better go raise a bunch of money to try to pay him, or we better be prepared to replace him in the portal with someone else that can maybe, hopefully, replicate his production. So that's just the nature of the beast in today's climate. But again, you can complain about it or you can embrace it, and we've chosen to embrace it, because this is here to stay.
You can't be Blockbuster. You have to be Netflix. I'm going to remember that one, Coach. That was a spectacular quote from your end. By the way, we don't say University of Miami, Coach. We don't say it. Kevin, what do we say?
Oh, UCG, University of Cornwall.
You got to rock in, Coach.
That was a Papa Panther thing. So
that is a Papa Panther thing. You're right about that.
All righty. Bentley Jones asks, what is your opinion on the section of shirtless students that grew all throughout the 2025 season?
You know what? I like it, but I'm a little upset that we didn't get credit for it. I like to think that we kind of started that trend with this whole shirts off deal. And then you look up, and then the coach for the Bears is taking his shirt off after wins. You see students all across the country taking their shirts off. Like, well, hey, coaching staff at FIU,
the
shirtless deal went viral. So, but no, it's great, man. Yeah, I tell you what, it's easy in South Florida. Every guy should probably be shirtless in South Florida for a game. But when I look up and I see the teams in the Northeast and the Midwest, and it's below 30, and they're out there shirtless.
Yeah.
That's a little extreme for me, but 70, 80, 90 degree weather, yeah, let's take those shirts off and let's have a good time. But yeah, I tell you what, you watch some of those playoff games, NFL playoff games, and later in the season college games, there's some wild guys that take those shirts off when it's freezing weather outside.
Did you ever notice the sections at all, like during the games, or no?
I don't notice what's going on 2 feet behind me during the game. I'm telling you, people can tell you, like, my eyes are not on the football field, and that's it the entire time. So no, there could be an all-out brawl that's right behind me, and I wouldn't know.
Interesting. Zachary Rivero asks, if you could pick a city to host a bowl game that doesn't host one already, which one would it be? Would appreciate a national and international answer if possible.
Wow, which city will host a bowl? That's a great question. I never really thought about an international city. I know our fans really, were disappointed that the Bahamas Bowl, was in existence. So I know our fans had a lot of fun there. I'm a fan of the Caribbean, so I think any game in the Caribbean, Jamaica, Bahamas, Puerto Rico, even. Any of those Caribbean islands, I think would be great for hosting a bowl. So I would love to be able to go south and play a bowl in sunny Caribbean weather.
Oh, if you only heard the Papa Panther story about the Bahamas Bowl, they had to walk into the bowl game with their suitcases because of all the delayed flights. And there are actually people who took a cruise ship, like they went on one of these cruises where it stops in the Bahamas for the day to go to the bowl game.
Johnny did that.
Yeah, no, it's craziness. Yeah, it was a crazy time, but they did it.
John Mayer did that once. I think a couple years ago he did the same thing. Went on a cruise.
Yeah, for the final Bahamas Bowl. Yeah.
Right. All right, Coach. I think these questions are slowly degrading in quality, but we have a couple more good ones here. Starting off with NBA Boot Boy, which I believe I can tell you is a Kennesaw State burner. Are aliens real?
Is that a question for me?
Yeah.
Are aliens real? I don't know. I don't know. I'm kind of torn on that. Because of my I guess faith. I guess I would say that. But I guess it's pretty. I don't know.
You can just say no, because I would agree with you.
It's pretty prideful of us to think that of all the stars and suns and planets and all that we're the only ones out here amongst trillions and trillions of stars. Like that's pretty pompous of us to think that there's nothing out there like that has any kind of life. I don't know if it's a physical form, something that you can shake hands with, but yeah, to think that the only life is on Earth, I think that's probably a long shot, to say the least. So in short answer, yes, what that looks like I have no idea. I mean,
Okay.
I don't think about it.
This next question is from an anonymous source, but I'm just going to assume he or she is a Middle Tennessee fan. How much more does Derek Mason bench than you? My guess is 550 pounds.
Well, I don't put anything on the ball over 225. So I'm sure Derek Mason probably benches a lot more than that. I stopped heavy lifting when I stopped playing football. So now I live for just to get in shape and stay in shape. So I don't know how much my max is. I can do 225 multiple times, but I will not put a pound over 225 pounds on the bar if I'm bench pressing.
Who do you think is the strongest coach in the conference?
Head coach?
Yeah.
Look, trust me, ain't many of us getting under no bench press.
Okay, fair enough.
So, no, I mean, probably is Coach Mason. He's pretty yoked up. I will give him that. Coach Longo, like, he may be able to throw some weight around, too. Coach Longo may be able to throw some weight around.
All right. Got one more question here. It's from another anonymous person asking, how many Spanish words have you picked up during your time here at Miami, including, most importantly, the bad words?
I have not picked up any bad words.
Thank God. Thank you.
I know how to order my cafe con leche in Spanish.
There we go.
That's about it.
That's fine. That's all you need to know, though, Coach.
Yeah, that's all I need to know. How to go across the street to Publix and order my cafe con leche. And they're so gracious because they see me trying to speak in Spanish, and so they speak back in English. They don't speak in Spanish because they know that I have no idea what I'm saying. So no, but yeah, I don't know. I think I'm a pretty intelligent guy, but my brain is not wired for foreign language. Like, I took 4 years of Spanish, and I'm telling you, I struggle with Spanish big time. So at 46. Well, be 46 this year, 45, going on 46. At this point, I don't think it's worth even trying. Like, just
I don't blame you.
Stay north and take Coach Ponce with me if I want to go somewhere down south.
Well, that was fun. Now let's get into some fun rapid fire questions here, Coach, as we start to wrap up the show. Kevin, take it away. This ought to be a good one.
Funniest coach, yeah, on the staff.
Oh, Ryan Smith.
Answer doesn't change. All right, love it.
Yeah, that's a pretty common answer. Yeah. I couldn't even ask you this question last time you were on the show, Coach, because you were still sort of settling in. Now I can. Where is the go-to spot to grab a bite to eat, either on campus or around campus?
Around campus, I would say the diced or green chicken.
Good I love answer. It. Green chicken. What's the order of green chicken? That's a great spot.
Oh, the jerk chicken and waffle. Oh my God. It's a winner. Jerk chicken and waffle. Try it. If you hadn't tried it, trust and believe. Try the jerk chicken.
I will try it next time, and I'll let you know once.
Wait, did you say waffles?
Jerk chicken and waffles.
We're gonna try it, and one of these days, when spring starts, we'll let you know.
All right.
Green chicken. That's green chicken.
Yep. Best playlist on the team, Coach.
No, they listen to. There's stuff they listen to. I can't listen to that stuff. So I got the best playlist from what I want to hear. My playlist for me. I don't listen to any of that other stuff that they listen to. There's generational gap as far as the music that I listen to and what the team listens to.
Well, we'll put us on game, Coach. What's the playlist? What can we expect out there
from the team?
From you.
Oh, from me? Oh no, I'm different genres. I'm neo soul, R&B, a little bit of rap, gospel. You know, I got a little bit of everything on there. No Bad Bunny or anything like that yet. But no, I try to. I'm 90s, 2000s, my era all the way up to now. So you get a wide range of music if you listen to my playlist.
All right. Favorite quarterback growing up that was an inspiration to you when you were playing QB in college?
Charlie Ward.
I knew that. Come on, Jake. All right. Last one. Favorite FIU uniforms?
Whoo.
There was a lot of combos.
Yeah, there's a lot of combos. Oh, man. I think I'm torn between the Biscayne blue with the white helmet and the Panther head logo. And crazy it sounds like I really like the white helmet, white jersey, gold pant combination.
Mm.
That is a classy look.
You can't go wrong with those.
I actually have a couple more. Aside from just linemen, are there any players on the team you think you could take down in a 40-yard dash?
I would not sprint a 40-yard dash ever again in life. Ever. Last time I tried to race and run, it was my last year at Prairie View for a field day, and I think my quadricep is still on the track out there somewhere.
Oh my God!
All right,
I jog straight. You see me jogging through campus at a nice, easy pace. I'm not sprinting.
There we go.
Right. And then after your coaching careers, you think you'll try Hollywood, considering your success acting wise in that Vice trailer?
Oh my God! The one thing that I cannot do and will not do is act. I just if I could have a genie and make a wish and do something else, I want to be a comedian. I love comedy or a magician. Like those two things I love. I love comedy. I love magic. So it'll be one of those. Acting, nah. I'm not. Hollywood is not somewhere that I think I would be caught in a million years. It's not. I'm a country boy from Quincy, Florida. Hollywood is not my speed.
There you go.
We have an impromptu question here from Curtis Hayes. Favorite victory cigar?
Oh, of course, my Tobacco Special Dolce. That's my go-to.
Okay.
All right. Beautiful, Coach. All right. You've been an awesome guest, Coach. We appreciate it. We have one more thing for you. If you have anything you would like to say to the fans, to FIU, to anyone in particular, the floor is now yours.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it, guys. Always great to be on, and hopefully I can make a third edition. I don't know if that will set a record or not, but no, just really excited about this program. Really blessed every day I wake up. I thank God for this amazing opportunity, to lead such a great program at a great institution with such phenomenal individuals. And we need support. We need your support for us to continue to climb and take this program where it needs to go. We need your support. We need your support financially. Obviously, we're in a changing landscape, and it takes that to stay competitive at this level. Recruitment and retention is what makes any organization successful. So we have to be able to continue to recruit the best and the brightest. But now more than ever, once we get them here, we have to retain them. And as we saw last year and years past, there's always going to be the temptation for these guys to go to quote unquote bigger programs, for more money. So just providing a first class experience for the guys, for our coaching staff, our support staff. We want to keep people here to continue to build and grow this program the way that we all envision it being. So buy your season tickets. Once we open those up, buy your season tickets. Come to games, come to campus. Just as many ways as you can support. Bring a friend. Just continue to support us again and follow the lead of our president. Again, I tip my hat to Jeanette Nunez and her unwavering support. Follow her lead as the leader of this institution. She buys season tickets. She comes every game. She supports these guys. And so are we as coaches and support staffers. So they need it. They deserve it. They earn it. They pour their blood, sweat, and tears into this program to represent FIU in a first-class manner. And I think it's only fitting that you guys return the favor. So I love all of you. I thank you so much just for supporting me as a head coach here. I look forward to another phenomenal season, even more milestones that we set even last year. And I fully expect to have a phenomenal crowd next December as we host a Conference USA Championship right here at Pitbull Stadium. So,
oh my God, you're killing me, Coach. That was amazing. By the way, Scott Carr, Billy Gill, the only other two guys that have been on 3 times on the Paws podcast. So already, Coach, thank you so much for spending some time with us tonight. It was a long one. We got past 90 minutes, Kevin. I don't know if this is a record. That one episode with Hunter Dubois went pretty crazy as well at night. But Kevin, what are we doing for 118? We got no plans.
No, I say we go baseball, but we'll see.
I guess we got to go baseball. Will we be catching you at the baseball stadium anytime soon, Coach?
I'm sure you will. Definitely. Yeah, definitely got to go support the baseball team. Basketball season still rolling. Congrats, Coach JB, on his 100th win.
Yeah.
Coach Jessica's The girls playing really well right now.
Yeah.
I think our softball team is ranked in the top 25. Like we're doing some really, really big things within the athletics department. So again, continue to support. Shout out to all the head coaches, assistant coaches, great group of individuals, and we support one another. So you'll definitely see me at some baseball games. I can't promise I'll throw out a first pitch again, but yeah, you'll definitely see me out there.
I was advocating for you to do it on opening day, but it never went through. But it's okay. We got to get you to do it at the baseball stadium one day.
Well, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Well, until then, thank you so much, Coach. And for Kevin and myself, have a great rest of the night. Go check out the Cocktails with Coach event by FIU alumni and get your season tickets and pack the cage. Most importantly, Paws!